Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're back to plowing a little bit. I've been plowing for off and on for a while now, and I'm really doing a terrible job. And after I get started here, I'm going to explain the whats and whys. Careful. So today, as you can see, we've got all three of the Suffolks out here working. We have Duke, Earl in the middle, careful, and Baron in the furrow. I gotta be so careful because these guys aren't used to things. When I start talking, they think it's an excuse to stop, and so I gotta be very careful. So as we're plowing along, well, to start with, a few days ago, I actually started plowing with Ken and Earl and Baron. Those are the three that have had the most work. As I started plowing them, I also realized and was hoping and expecting that very soon I could let Ken go back in the barn and get Duke going. And I have been able to do that, and they're actually working quite well as far as how the horses are working. The problem is not the horses, it's the plow and the plowing. So what's happening is, this is a field that we had tiled last year. And one of the reasons why I'm having trouble is because this is fairly heavy soil, careful. And because of that, we're having a lot of compaction problems. Careful, G, careful, 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 careful. And when they were tiling last fall, they had that big dozer, a big excavator, and a small tractor out here running around. Careful on this ground, careful, 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 careful. And so because, careful, we had all of that equipment on here, and it was probably kind of wet, I can't even remember. But anyways, it did a lot of compaction. So what's happening, there is spots in this field. As we're plowing, it's plowing beautiful. And then there's spots in this field that the plow point is not digging as deep as it should be. Now I could adjust my plow in such a way so that I'm going deeper, but then when I get to the spots that's not compacted, it just goes way, way, way too deep. So I am choosing to just live with it, and where it's not plowing good and because of the compaction, it's most of the time turning it over somewhat, but where it's plowing good, it's plowing good. And there's stretches here where it's a long stretches of compaction. Careful. Compaction isn't the only problem, it's a little bit dry. If this ground was wetter, it probably wouldn't be anywhere near so bad, but it's pretty dry. We've had such a wet summer, and now when I want it a little bit wet, it's dry. A lot of other things have been going out in this field. Careful, careful, as I'm plowing. Oh! And I guess I better stop and explain. I'm having a difficult time talking and driving. So right here is plowing beautiful. And as you can see, this is what we call the heel. And that heel, as I'm plowing along, should be laying flat on the ground to make everything work properly. And you can see it's plowing and working beautifully. I'm not sure if Brenda was catching it back there where it was not plowing good because it's compacted and it's too dry and whatnot. It's doing a terrible job. And when we get back to there, I will explain about the heel and what's going on in those places. Because originally I wanted to use my old plow, which is just an old trailer plow that works pretty nice most of the time. And because of all the tiles in this field, and the other day I did a video out here, spread manure actually, and from the air you can really see where all these tile ditches are. I smoothed them out a little bit with the discs, but because it's been a year now, they didn't smooth out very good, so it's really, really rough plowing for me and the horses. What was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say. But anyways, we're dealing with a lot of situations. So anyways, I know what I was going to say. So this, my old trailer plow, I was going to use that, and that doesn't plow as good as this one, but I knew this field wouldn't plow up perfect anyways because of all these problems. And so I tried it, but it just didn't work as well as this one, so I went back to using this one, and I've got some other ideas that maybe I can share with you even as the fall progresses about what I'm doing differently even on that plow. But that's a little bit easier to deal with than this white horse plow. Let me plow a little more because I want to explain and show you where it isn't plowing good, what's happening. At calf step. Careful, huh? Careful, huh? Careful. 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 So another thing, careful. Careful step. Careful. So another thing I'm doing with these horses, Earl and Baron are in pretty good shape because they've been doing quite a bit of logging. Duke is not. So because of that, I might still do some swapping around with Ken, but probably not too much because I really like to plow with these three. So because of that, I have been and will continue to plow for short sessions at a time to get him in better shape without being too hard on him. As you can see right here, look how deep it's plowing and how beautiful it's plowing. And up here in a little ways, I'll show you where it's not doing so good. Gee, careful. So because Duke is not in as good a shape as the other two, and because it's plowing so hard, when it doesn't plow good, it generally pulls harder than it would if it was plowing properly. So, and that's exactly what's happening here. So because of that, I don't want to, work Duke until he's a little bit better shape for any period of time. So what I do because of that, I'll go short sections and then I will go back to the barn and run the sawmill or something. So that I can stay busy while they're taking a break. Oh. So let me show you right here is a spot where it's just not plowing good at all. As you can see, it's only going into the ground just a little ways. And if you look right here, this heel is way off the ground. This heel should be right down there. But because the ground is so hard and compacted from the machinery of the tilers, I'm not making any good headways. I can live with it. I'm turning over a little bit of dirt, and I'm just going to have to live with it. I could wait until it starts raining, but then it just gets really wet fast. And I'm hoping to have the tilers come even this fall still, although I'm still waiting on them. And if they do show up, I'm going to have a bunch more plowing to do. So I need to get started on it. So I just have to live with this. Once again, there was something else I wanted to say and I forgot it. Oh, I know. I'm not quite sure why. I guess it's because for compaction, it's more of a, it takes a little time for the soil to actually get compacted and whatever. Because last fall, when I was doing my big piece up there, I plowed and there was no problem at all. I didn't have any compaction issues, and the dozer and the equipment was running over that land all the time. And yet it was easy to plow. Whereas now I'm having terrible troubles with it. But I'm sure we get this plowed up and worked up. The next time around when I plow it, it should be a lot easier. I kept up. Careful. This outside edge of the field is not straight line to start with the curve of the field, so it does make it a little more difficult. I was just going straight, and then I thought I'd come back and do some of the end rows a little bit, but I decided after a couple times around, I'm going to plow completely around like I'm doing right here now. Careful. And it's amazing how well they're doing of a job to do this. And after a while, I might come out with a disc and disc this ends down so it won't be so rough when I have to go over this plow ground. This curve coming up, this turn coming up is really sharp, and it obviously does a terrible job, but careful, ha. Careful, ha. Careful, ha. Careful, ha. Careful, ha. I must say the horses are doing amazingly well getting around that corner and allowing Baron to get back into that furrow. So if Brenda could just watch the furrow and follow closely on that furrow until we get to that better ground, and you'll see what I'm talking about as far as where it belongs. Oh. Another thing I'm dealing with, which maybe you aren't, it probably won't bother a lot of people, but it bothers me, is how crooked my rows are. But yeah, I think a lot of people think I should be showing my mistakes all the time, and I personally don't like to do that. But I have no choice in this field but to show a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. I do have one story I wanted to tell you about our compaction. Years ago, we used to milk cows, and we were ready to get out of milking cows. And so a friend of ours, a large farmer, bought our cows, and with the agreement, with the deal, that he could use just this one big field for 2 years. So he went and plowed it all up and put it in the corn for 2 years. The fall of the second year, they picked the corn And I started right in plowing because I had to plow the whole field to seed it down. I might have planted a portion of it back into corn, but most of it I wanted to seed down. So I plowed the whole field. And as I was plowing, now this is a big farmer that did it, so he had big trucks that he came in here for the corn silage. And it was so obvious of the compaction issues, especially for a horse farmer with small plows. Every time I could clearly see where the truck tracks were because a lot of times they'd use the same trail, so it was really compacted where those tracks were. And every time I crossed them with a plow, my plow came right up out of the ground and just barely scraped the surface where those tracks were. And then as soon as it got past where the tracks were, it dove right back in where it belonged. Just made it so clear to me the how bad compaction can be to your land. And it doesn't matter, even cattle out grazing will do a lot of compaction. It's surprising. I remember years ago, right here in this field, I was plowing, and down at the end, that end right there, which is actually showing more compaction now than this end of this field. And I was plowing down there. I was using 4 horses, I remember, and I was using 4 horses abreast. So I'd get down to the end of the field, and there'd be a lot of turning on the end of the field with those 4 horses. And after a while, it got to the point where those 4 horses traveled, I could not get my plow to go in. It just compacted so bad, even with horses. So, something to think about as you go through your farming days. I want to show you a few more things up at the barn about this other plow I'm working on, and I'll talk more about that maybe later in this video. If not in this video, hopefully another video. But I'm going to plow a few more times around, and then we'll probably call it quits and go do a little more sawing. Tough stuff.
Billy out to pasture, getting a break. Kenny, Lady, but you can't hardly see. Bree and June are over there by themselves. So funny. You enjoying the day?